Welcome to this week's episode of Thoroughly Entertained. My sister and I are going to talk about whether we enjoyed the re-release in 3D of Jurassic Park and what we thought of NBC's new show, Hannibal.
The 20th anniversary 3D re-release of Jurassic Park, the story is how you remembered it. Scientists have successfully cloned dinosaurs off the coast of Costa Rica, and all hell breaks loose when a team of visiting scientists visits the park.
What did you think of it after 20 years of not having seen it?
Well, let's be honest, I only ever saw it once to begin with, so... And I was freaked out of my mind when I saw it the first time. Honestly, like, it doesn't take a lot to scare me.
Right.
That's why I do not see horror movies, if Jurassic Park is the scariest thing I'd seen. So it was actually kind of interesting to see it 20 years later, because I turned to you more than once and I was like, I don't remember this. Like, there's some of those iconic scenes, like the eye through the glass and the footprints and the thud and the water shaking, like all of those sort of iconic movie moments I remembered, but lots of the other nuances of the story I actually was really surprised that I had forgotten. But as a whole, I was actually really entertained. It was a fun day at the movies. Yeah,
I didn't like it the first time I saw it when I was a kid because Jurassic Park had always been my favorite book that I'd ever read, and like 3 or 4 of my favorite sequences from the book weren't in the movie. And so when I was a kid, I was so outraged by that. I was like, how dare you! Ah! You know, and so when I was a kid, I didn't like the movie at all, and I was surprised at how much I liked it this time. You know, having that distance and being able to just enjoy it for the story that it was, because again, I haven't read the book in 20 years either. I was able to watch it like I was seeing it for the first time, and it really was an entertaining movie. The effects were terrific for 1993. Those are amazing.
Yeah, they really did hold up. The only slightly, like the one thing that we saw was that the computers definitely are dated. Like that keeps it a dated movie, but everything else, like the dinosaurs felt real, they look real.
Yeah.
The drama was still as visceral and entertaining as it was 20 years ago. So.
And it was really pioneering because of how effective they were at integrating the live action with the digital effect. Like the scenes where you see them running from the herd of dinosaurs as it comes down the hill, or when you see them feeding the Brachiosaurus in the tree. People had never seen something like that where you could make it so realistic that they'd be able to interact with something. And that was what was so revolutionary about how Steven Spielberg directed this movie. I had even forgotten that he was the director. And so again, like it had been so long since I'd seen it. My biggest criticism of this was I didn't feel anything was added to it by making it in 3D. I can't recall one single sequence where I was like, oh, well, here's the 3D effect. Because other than adding a little bit of depth of field and just most of the general scenery, I can't remember one time where anything kind of popped off the screen at me. What did you think?
I felt exactly the same way. Like I was waiting for a big moment when you sort of lean back because everything's coming at you in 3D, but I never got that because it really was just the depth of field that made it more interesting. So although it's fun to see it in the movie theater, like paying the extra $2 or whatever to see it in 3D, you're not going to get much for the 3D experience. Yeah,
I think this is kind of better for people who either had never been able to see it the first time when it was out in the theaters, or for kids, who are, 10, 11, 12, 13 years old who've never seen the movie before. It obviously is a spectacle, so you would want to see it on the bigger screen than something small and contained like your TV at home. So I would say it would be great for them. But yeah, nothing was really added by the 3D element that I noticed.
So what would you end up giving your final score for this?
I would absolutely give it a B+. I think it was a really entertaining movie. Again, the kids are funny, the characters are interesting. We see Jeff Goldblum for the first time playing his kind of too cool for school Cad that he plays in a lot of movies afterwards.
Right.
And I enjoyed it so much more this time than if you'd asked me when I was 13, I would have given it a D-. So much improved by having that separation from it.
Your tweet this week, which was like, I'm going to see Jurassic Park. Like you were not...
I said I yawned as I typed this.
So I'm glad that you enjoyed it
a lot more than I
expected you would. All right, now for our look at Hannibal.
In the new NBC series Hannibal, FBI criminal profiler Will Graham needs help from an outside psychiatrist named Hannibal Lecter to help him solve a serial killing in Minnesota. And we find out that Hannibal Lecter is more than he appears.
So this particular television series I found to be unlike anything on network television I've ever seen before. It was intense and dark and riveting and the cinematography was stunning. I mean, just stunning. And I was really surprised. I don't know how much money they spent on this particular production, but it was high production value if the shooting alone was any indication. But I found it to be entirely engrossing. What did you think?
I absolutely think it was magnificently shot. It was gorgeous. And I'll be curious to see if a lot of this production value comes from the fact that this was a very high-profile pilot, and if, you know, the week-to-week episodes are scaled down a little bit.
Right.
But again, it was a beautifully shot TV show. Again, it doesn't look like anything else that's on network TV at all. It looks like one of the more prestige series on like AMC or FX or
HBO,
or even HBO or Showtime. And again, you know, for me it ultimately comes down to the fact that, you know, do I like the material or do I like the subject matter enough to find it entertaining? I'm not certain yet with the show, but it was engrossing, to say the least. It was very compelling TV to watch.
Well, and it's because of the subject matter. I mean, this is yet again another serial killer television show, and that this is not a unique feature in American television at all. In fact, watching the show, it reminded me of a conversation I had with a teenage girl from Abu Dhabi that I met in Ireland, and she was afraid to come to the United States because of how violent our television shows are. And just because that's all that you know...
some of the outside world sees about America is through our entertainment.
And I thought, after watching this show, I thought, this is not a good indication for, like, come to the United States. I mean, although it was an interesting show and engaging, I was entertained because it was so well done, but I don't know if I want to keep watching something so dark, because this does not make you feel happy after you watch it.
No, and again, like... It's an interesting take on some of the subject matter. I mean, I know there's shows like Criminal Minds that deal with serial killers and different things like that. But the real unique thing about it is Hugh Dancy's character really, he puts himself into the crimes. Like, that's his kind of special ability as a criminal profiler, is that he can literally put himself inside the mind of whoever would commit a crime, and he can see each step and figure out, well, why would he do this? Why would he do that? And so the show uses the show uses that in a way. It actually puts Hugh Dancy in the sequence of the crime being committed. So you see him pulling the trigger or strangling someone or, you know, and taking the steps backwards. And it's shocking. Yeah. You know, the violence of it is swift and it's stunning, and it's, again, like, the way they use the contrast of colors, like in the scenes where there's violence, like the colors around the blood are so muted and dull that the blood looks even brighter and more startling. Like, you know, it's a very well done TV show. There's no denying the quality of what's been produced. It's just, again, like, not everyone is going to be able to sit through an hour of this every week without being kind of disturbed by it, because it is, like, they do not shy away from any of the difficult scenes at all. You see a throat getting cut, like, you see the wound gaping wide open, you see bodies mounted on deer antlers, like, they don't shy away from the rough imagery.
It is graphically violent. Yeah. And that's why it's airing at 10 o'clock.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, like I said, it was engrossing and enthralling to me. I know you were not as entertained because the subject matter was so dark, but But as a whole, I gave it a B+, just slightly down from the A-. I was leaning towards just because of the darkness of the material.
And I think the quality of the show is it's A quality material. Right. But for me, I rate things on how much I enjoy them. And again, the line between whether something is compelling or whether something is entertaining, that is a very blurry line for me as it comes to this show. I don't know how entertained I was by it. I gave it a B- simply for the fact that I couldn't really lose myself in the story because of how harsh some of the imagery was and how hard it was sometimes to see what you were seeing.
Well, that's it for this week's episode of Thoroughly Entertained. In the comments below, we want to know, who is your favorite TV or movie villain of all time? Next week, we're going to be talking about the new Jackie Robinson biopic, 42, as well as discussing this season of Project Runway. As always, please like us below, visit our website at thoroughllyentertained.com, and join us on our quest to be thoroughly entertained.